In like 5 weeks, we're gonna look back on this the way we look back on the Foxy was a good guy theory, aren't we? Whatever. What do you think of when you think of Roxanne Wolf? No, okay, wait. Not that. I get it. For a character in a game marketed mostly towards kids, she does have a little bit of a questionable social media presence. Ignoring that, character-wise, what do you think of? A wolf who seems a little narcissistic, but is actually just really, really insecure and doesn't want to be a loser. But what sets her apart from the other aggressive animatronics in Security Breach? I would say it's her abundance of personality, and most of all, humanity. Chica and Monty, they're a little lacking in the personality department, in my opinion. Chica just reuses the same voice lines over and over again, and besides her love of pizza, she doesn't really have much going for her that makes her appear human. And there's Monty, who's just kind of an angry bodyguard type character that you would expect. But Roxanne, she's talking to herself a bunch. She clearly feels emotions and has thoughts, or at least the illusion is sold really, really well for her. I say all this to say, Roxanne is the most likely, and in my opinion, the best choice narratively for a character to have a bit of a redemption arc in the Ruin DLC. But before we get into any evidence that might be in the new Ruin trailer, let's talk about Ruin itself, because something about its story is like actually really, really confusing and kind of bothering me. In the Ruin trailer, right, we get Gregory's voice lines, which sound really suspicious. They sound almost exactly like Vanny's voice lines from the original first Security Breach trailer, except the role is kind of reversed. It's a cry for help instead of an offering of help. Something sounds off about Gregory. Now bring your attention to the Tales from the Pizzaplex books, where the mimic is in each little epilogue story and repeatedly uses the voice of someone else to lure people into the Pizzaplex. And in the books, he specifically does that over the radio, and we see Cassie communicating with Gregory over a walkie-talkie in the trailer. I definitely think that this is the mimic, not even Gregory. I do think that Gregory is probably trapped in the Pizzaplex, but I think there might be kind of a mix of the real Gregory talking to us and the mimic, and Cassie kind of has to figure out what's really Gregory and what's not. In the Storyteller, the mimic is downloaded into the Storyteller, which controls the Pizzaplex. So if the mimic is actually in Ruin, as it appears to be, then it is almost definitely the voice of Gregory that calls for help, and is definitely in control of the animatronics. So why did they try to stop Cassie from making it to Gregory / the mimic? It must want something from her. Maybe it has possessed Gregory and wants Cassie to help it out of the Pizzaplex. It looks like Gregory's voice will tell us what to do as we go. So why would it make the animatronics stop Cassie? Does it just want Cassie out of the picture for some reason? Is it collecting Remnant one kid at a time? I can think of 3 explanations for this, and none of them are great, honestly. The best explanation that I can think of for this is the animatronics being disconnected from the mimic from the start of Ruin, and are in some kind of instant kill mode for some reason. Yeah, that's my best explanation. Or the mimic calls Cassie to the Pizzaplex as Gregory just because it wants to end her as soon as she enters the building, which would be beyond lame. Or Gregory really is in the Pizzaplex and he has his own evil agenda, and the mimic doesn't like Gregory and wants to stop Cassie from helping him. Please let me know if you have some obvious explanation. Now that we've clearly established that I have no idea what's going on story-wise here, let's talk about an idea that I have about the story. Roxy's redemption arc. Is there any evidence for this in the new Ruin trailer? In this trailer, we see Roxy in Roxy's salon. First of all, this is a pretty high up place in the Pizzaplex. In the trailer, Gregory says, "It's dark down here." So I'm assuming that this is after the Afton ending, and Gregory is trapped deep down below. As Cassie, we're going to kind of start higher up in the Pizzaplex and work our way down until we get to where Gregory is trapped. So these shots with Roxy are at the beginning of Ruin. Roxy is nowhere near as aggressive as Monty is. Roxanne looks confused and kind of curious, but not necessarily aggressive. It looks like she's trying to decide whether or not she wants to attack or not. But what would cause her to suddenly stop being insanely aggressive all of a sudden? There are a few potential explanations. The reason the animatronics were aggressive in the first place was that Glitchtrap and Vanny were controlling them. It would be really, really cool if the mimic was controlling the animatronics, and if it was having them help Cassie at some point get deeper into the Pizzaplex so that it can lure her into its trap. That'd be a really cool plot twist, to suddenly realize that they were helping you to be evil all along. but it just doesn't look like that's what's happening because of the whole Monty jump scare sequence that we see. So somehow it looks like Cassie or Gregory has somehow managed to free Roxanne from Glitchtrap's control, but Cassie doesn't yet know this, which is why she tries to fight back when Roxy grabs her. Now there's a few ways this could have happened. In this scene where we see Cassie clearly working on some kind of electronic device, it kind of looks like the task in Electrical and Among Us. This could be Cassie slowly removing the mimic from the system of the Pizzaplex. Roxanne could be the first animatronic that is freed from his control, and she then becomes an ally. This is further kind of backed up by the fact that Cassie has a Roxanne walkie-talkie that I'm assuming Roxanne gives her so that they can communicate with each other. Kind of like how Freddy gives Gregory the Fazwatch so they can communicate. Since the mimic can talk over the radio, she starts communicating with Gregory through the Roxanne walkie-talkie. Or none of that could be true, and Steel Wool just wanted an excuse to call something a Roxy-talkie. I think it's also worth mentioning that the shot where we see Roxanne inspecting Cassie and the shot where we see Eclipse, I refuse to call him anything other than Eclipse because that is a perfect name. Steel Wool, I do not care what you officially name him. His name is Eclipse. Those two shots are consecutive, right after they show the unfriendly animatronics, Chica and Freddy. Why would Eclipse be friendly? It seems like Sun was unaffected by the Glitchtrap virus and security breach, and Moon was just evil regardless. If Eclipse is a hybrid of Sun and Moon, he might be like a dual personality character, switching between the Sun and Moon persona throughout the game. So we never know when we can trust him and when we can't, which would be really cool actually. Come to think of it, this is exactly what we were expecting Vanny to be in the base game. Actually, if any of my theories are right, the whole theme of Ruin is deciding who to trust and who not to trust, which again is what we thought we would have to do in Security Breach, but it just ended up being Freddy good, everyone else bad. Maybe Ruin will give us a better taste of this who to trust business that we missed out on in Security Breach. Before we go, let's recap really quickly. Roxanne has the most personality of all the aggressive animatronics, making her the best candidate for a redemption arc. We know that Gregory's call for help is probably a trap, probably set up by the Mimic, which is probably the true identity of Glitch/Burn Trap. We see ruined Roxanne behaving far less aggressively than she did in the base game, and we see Eclipse giving a friendly looking wave, and if he's a mix of Sun and Moon, then some of Sun's goodness will definitely shine through. Cassie will constantly have to decide who she wants to trust, and out of all the characters so far, it looks like Roxanne Wolf is her best bet. Okay, no time for a long and boring intro here. If you want to know why I think Freddy is evil, I discussed that in this video right here. And if you want to know my thoughts on the Mimic and why it's good for the FNAF franchise, that will be right here. And this has been Johnny, your favorite night guard, and it's time for me to clock out. I'll see you at the beginning of my next shift. Goodbye.